Hey yo, it's Guido coming at you with a, well, not really a tactics talk. I'm just giving you a little bit of an extra here. I got a new game that I found I wanted to show you guys, mostly because it's kind of like World of Tanks, a little bit in some of the concepts and kind of the way it plays. But it's made by Gaijin, and it is a post-apocalyptic car combat game, essentially. It has PvP, it does have some PvE in there as well, co-op mode, so that's pretty cool. So I wanted to show you this thing, and we'll just kind of go through this in no particular order. I just started playing this. I maybe have 2 hours into it. So some of it I will compare to World of Tanks, which you are familiar with if you're on my channel. If anybody plays this and has dug a little bit deeper than I have, or a lot deeper than I have, which is probably just about anybody who's played it at this point, I will probably say a couple things wrong. But just bear with me, though. If you're new, I think you might be interested in this thing. So you can see that we're in the garage right here. It's post-apocalyptic. I've created this kind of crazy vehicle out of scrap parts and pieces that I've won along the way, some of which you've kept. You can see there's a shotgun there. There's machine guns. I got a little radar. These are all pieces that can be taken off the car. I'll get into that in just a little bit. But just looking at the garage, which is the main page right here, that's a friends button. So you can do the whole friends thing. This goes over to clans, which I haven't dug into, but there are clans as well. Down here is co-drivers, which from what I can tell is basically the engineer guy, this person up here, which I'll talk about in a minute. And that's kind of your crew if you're familiar with World of Tanks. So they have some skills and capabilities and bring things with them. So that's the co-driver. You're obviously the driver yourself. That's the car itself. Leviathans are really big. I'll show you those in a little bit. They look like more end tier, maybe if you consider a tier 10 idea-ish in there as well. You can see that you've got the weapon set up. You can take a look at what that vehicle has that you're looking at in your garage. And then here's a saved option right here. You see that I have 2 different vehicles I can build with the parts that I have. You can name it. I just left it new blueprint because I've been messing around quite a bit with it. This is more or less the base model truck you start with. I've added a bunch of little goober things on there as well. But it'll give you an initial vehicle. It's got a couple machine guns or shotguns or something of that nature. Little guns, and you can get started from there. But you can see that right now I have 4 slots that I can use. These are the faction cars, already kind of pre-made vehicles that your faction, in my case the engineers, which is the faction you start with. Again, we'll talk about that later. And then there's some packs. These are some of the vehicles that you can buy, because it wouldn't be an online game with microtransactions unless you could buy something and spend your money. And then you got some information here on this vehicle itself. So it's got 607 structure points, 29 of 30 pieces. So each of those pieces will come off. I'll show you that later. How much energy, that's how much weaponry you can use. I'm using 8 of my 9 energy, and that is determined by your cabin, by this part of it right here. Actually, may have a different name, but I'll talk about that later. And then how heavy this bad boy is. Looks like this frame can carry a lot more than I have on there. And then some kind of information as to the acceleration and speed. I don't have a reputation bonus. There's flags you can put on there. Again, I'll hit that up later. So let's go up here to the top. I'm in the garage. Let's go to factions and talk about this. I mentioned that you started off as an engineer faction. It looks like there are 5 factions. Engineers, lunatics, nomads, scavengers, and steppenwolves. That name made me laugh. I don't know where that came from, but these kind of make sense. You can see that it's post-apocalyptic. They have all kind of crazy uniforms and armor and weapons and stuff like that. And they have certain bonuses depending on what you are doing. In this case, actually not bonuses, but we're talking about what the engineers can build. And you go down through here, you can see that you need this kind of resource to build a Lupara. So just a bunch of scrap, and then you can click build. Track, I believe, will let you know how close you are to getting the stuff you need, or at least tracking what's going on. I haven't delved into that. I'm not sure where it shows that or how it works. But that's pretty standard for any crafting kind of game. There's a way to track the stuff you need for it. And if you bot back here, you then go to other manufacturing stuff you can do. You also have to have certain levels to unlock things. You can see that I haven't got there yet. I'm level 5. That's what that 5 right there in the top right is. So I haven't unlocked a whole bunch. You go over here and you've got an artisan's pack, a paint container. That's kind of interesting. Here's some of the more advanced stuff that you need. Resource-wise, you can get copper, you can get wires, you know, scrap and things. Post-apocalypse, you're running around scavenging pieces and trying to build the best car you can get is the bottom line. with all that kind of thing. Come over here and you got the porcupine, scorpion. These look like to be some of the bigger weapons that they can build, and that's pretty cool. A mine layer. That would be interesting to see how those work. If you ever played Car Wars or something like that, you'll kind of get the idea of what's happening here as far as car combat. If you've ever watched Mad Max, you'll get an idea of exactly what the kind of theme of this whole game is. So lunatics, nomads, I won't go through all that. There's all the rest of the factions. If you go to the market then, make sure I haven't missed anything there, not really. Not the basics anyway. You go back to the market, then you can buy parts. These coins, you can see I have 11.81 or $11.81. That's what the C stands for. That is the in-game currency. I would call it sort of like gold, but it seems to be the only currency really. So you can buy this stuff. You can trade to get this stuff. I don't know if you can get it in missions. I haven't run into that yet that I've seen, at least not at the low level that I am at, but you can spend real money to get this as well. So I can buy these parts. I can offer parts that I have, although it's not showing that right now. I don't know if I don't have anything maybe I can sell based on it being very common stuff. I'm not sure. I haven't dug into that yet. Then the history of how many things I have bought or sold. I've sold some scrap metal just to see how it works, and I'll show that to you in a minute on the market. No, that was my offers. And as soon as I clicked sell it, it got gobbled up. So somebody had a sell price point that worked for them. As soon as I put it on the market, it was bought. And I haven't dug into that yet. I'm going to need an economics major, I believe, to figure that out because it didn't make apparent sense to me right off the bat. But again, I haven't really dug into it. These are all sorting mechanisms here. Sort by hardware, and it's all online, so it's got to go grab it right there because these are other people selling things on the market in the game. So it's got a player market, which is kind of cool actually, for trading parts and pieces and that. Kind of like that. That's actually cool. And you can see there's many, many pages. I mean, I could go on and on with this thing. Rarity, you'll see this a couple times. Common, rare, epic, legendary, and relic. Clearly, as you go up the scale here, relics are very powerful items and will cost a lot, depending on what it is. And that is that. We'll go to the storage then. And I will show you a little bit about building one of these vehicles here towards the end when we get there. But this is all my stuff right here. So I have all this stuff in my storage. Parts, storage parts. I've got a couple extra weapons laying around. A weapon radiator. Increases weapon overheat threshold. So this does operate by heat instead of reloads, which is what you might be familiar with in World of Tanks. Once a weapon overheats, it has to cool down. Basic idea. So you just can't sit there blasting away. A radar, it increases the range at which you can detect enemies. So you can see they all have their little powers. These pieces parts here, like a van ramp, it will add structure, which is hit points if you want to look at it that way, and mass, makes the vehicle heavier. And when you saw that number, I had 29 of 30 parts or whatever, that's what, these are all one part. So you put one of these on and that adds a part. Although I'm quite honest, I'm not sure if the weapon's out of part yet or not. I have to look at that. Down here, some specialized thing. That's the engineer flag. I got that as an award. That gives me a bonus. So kind of a reserve, I guess you would call it, for World of Tanks. Sort of idea. And some paint. Right now I can paint things kind of a crappy green color. There's a lot of different colors. And the only really cool resource I got right now are copper. And I have coupons, which I haven't dug into. To be quite honest, I'm not sure what those do right now. You can sort it by all the things that I talked about earlier. Fusion. Select the item you want to upgrade. Apparently I can't do that right now. I'm assuming that is either at a higher level or it's a higher level part that I don't own. I don't have a lot of good info for you on that. You always have to have a shop. Recommended. Hey, here's the things we recommend you give us money for. So for 30 bucks, you get 1,500 coins. Let's look at it. A unique vehicle, a big weapon, a unique cabin, a unique character portrait. Now, I don't know if that's an actual character or just a portrait. That would be interesting if it actually just has the same capabilities as some other character. We'll look at that in just a second when we get into looking at the engineers. Some spray cans, so you get the flame pattern, and looks like you get some carbon. That's probably a fairly high level resource, and then 1,500 coins out of that whole thing. What I have not seen in here is any kind of premium account that gives you an overall bonus. If that exists, I don't know. I don't think so, though, from what I've seen. So that's kind of an interesting way to do that. That's 30 bucks for just that stuff. And I assume you can break this vehicle down because it says unique cabin Fury. That makes me feel like maybe you can put that cabin on something else. Can you break down the rest of the vehicle? I don't know. Can you actually even break down the vehicle? Again, I don't know, but I don't know why they would say unique cabin Fury if you couldn't do that. That's for later. You got packs. Yep, you need to package packs so you can sell all kinds of stuff. Hey, check this out. 60 bucks, looks like a tank, so off you go. That appears to me to be the big daddy that you can buy right now. Whether that's the equivalent of a Tier 8 Premium, and there's lots of stuff better than that, or that's the top of the line, I couldn't tell you. I would guess it's probably not the top of the line, but it's pretty close, at least right now. And you can buy coins, which is interesting, again, because I can get coins without spending money, or you can buy coins. So there's not really the convention of silver and gold like in World of Tanks, at least as far as I can tell right here. And that may have some interesting repercussions. We'll go over to Exhibition. And this is actually pretty cool. These are things that other people have built with the parts. Look, they've actually built a couch. At first I was looking at these going, what on earth is this stuff? But all it is something that is in your garage. See, rip. That's crazy, isn't it? And you come over here and you can look at the couch in your garage. I guess people enjoy doing that, building things out of it. This one immediately caught my attention, seeing as I'm a pilot. This is pretty funny. So let's just do this. You hit test drive down the bottom left, and provided you are a level at which you can, you have the same parts that the thing's made of, you'll be able to test drive it and kind of come around and do these things. I like the ramps right here. See if it can fly. No, it doesn't seem to fly. You're gonna smash on the ground. You're going to lose hit points. You look down at the bottom where it says $13.99. That's basically its hit points. And it's flying around here. I like the aircraft engines on it, but they don't seem to actually do anything. Whether they add power, I don't know. Let's see. We're going to try to fly off of this. Nice big cliff. Let's see. Fly! No. So it rams the ground. Alright, so let's go back to there. That's actually pretty cool. You can see how this stuff flies around, and we were basically in Exhibition. And you can sort it by all kinds of things. I won't go through all that. There's a bunch of pages. Oh, actually, there was one other I wanted to show you guys here. What does that look like? That cracked me up when I saw that one right there. The waffle. The waffle. Leviathans are big vehicles. These are massive. So they've got all kinds of weapons on them. Big old massive vehicles. And owned. I apparently don't own one that can be put in here. Actually, that's not true. There's an option I'll show it to you later where you can save it and put it into that player-owned kind of build, I guess, showing people how to build that. But the things I have are so common and new or basic that probably nobody wants those things. We go over to season. These are by level of difficulty. Easy, medium, hard. This is the one I'm doing, and then there's missions that are connected. Right now I need to win 7 battles and install shotguns, and I've done one of those, I believe. Well, actually I thought I had. This is a little bit confusing. There's several different ways of looking at the missions, and I haven't put all of this together yet. And this 25 and the screw, I'm assuming is engineer experience. That must be this one right here. So I have 8,930 out of 23,500 needed to go to level 6 on my... I keep calling this guy an engineer. The faction's the engineers. I believe this is a co-driver, is the way they're looking at it. So when you finish all these missions, then you can grab the reward, which is 300 scrap metal, and that's actually quite a few pieces of scrap metal. So those are the seasons right there. All right, so coming over here, that's the coins. I talked about those. That's fuel. You need that, from what I can tell, you need that to do some of what they call raids. I'll show you that in a minute. And raids are the co-ops. So you can only do so many of those a day. You can buy fuel, I believe, or you can get it in missions in other ways. If it's on the open market, I don't know. It might have been in the middle of all that stuff and I just missed it. Here's your co-driver, dude. They have portraits. They get unlocked as you go. So I've unlocked these 2 Julios. Got this one and this one, which don't seem to have any kind of names or anything involved. It's just a portrait. They have medals. Let's go back to the one I've used the most. they have, so she's done some things. She's done these missions, so I have finished a couple missions along the way. This is just a progress bar. They have a reputation. This is where she is, her reputation with the Engineers faction. Or perhaps that's just my reputation, to be quite honest, I'm not sure. What they've done on the market, looks like she's fenced a couple things. Or maybe that's me, it's hard to tell. I'm not exactly sure if that's supposed to be what she's done or what I've done. It seems like when I change the portrait, some of those numbers change when I get to metals. Now, fence didn't change. That changed, so the raids thing changed a little bit, so it's a little bit confusing. You'd have to dig into it a little more. Stickers appear to be the basic kind of awards and medals and things that you get, like in World of Tanks. You see I've got a few of these things going through here, and they kind of look, you know, post-apocalyptic E50s kind of art. This is, it appears, all the different pieces and parts you can get in the game. So if you want to see what's in the game, this is where it is, and it looks like you can get whatever its stats are that's in the game. So that's the guide, got everything there. History is exactly what it says. It's what I've done over time, and that's from going over here on this co-driver person. On the portrait, these are today's challenges. Again, more missions, it looks like. If you can accomplish these missions, you'll get these various things, and it looks like 200 of your co-driver or experience, level experience, whatever they call it there. And that's just the standard options. No need to go through all that stuff. So, the three big red buttons are the only things I haven't really talked about over here. Build, battle, test drive. I showed you the test drive thing already. You kind of drive around there and you can see how your vehicle performs. I'll tell you a funny story about that. Actually, we'll go into the storage because I was building a vehicle and I took it out to battle, and the one little detail I've learned in this game is if you look here where it says starter wheel ST, ST means steering, and I didn't know that at first. I actually had one steering wheel on one front wheel, and I had just a regular wheel, a straight non-steering wheel on the other front end of the vehicle. So I had only one wheel sort of trying to steer. And then I got my two front wheels shot off, which makes you steer worse. So not only did I only have one steering wheel, it was shot off and it was terrible at steering. So I was dragging my frame around, actually pushing it since the two back wheels were still there. I got left behind pretty bad on that. So just one of the probably many pitfalls of building. So if you click build, now I'm looking at this vehicle, whoa. And you'll see that if I right click, I take stuff off. So you can see how you can just take pieces, parts off your vehicle all the way around. There's lots of little pieces you can add to it. I'll take that off. You can see that all the stats in the bottom right change as I do that. It's funny that the weapons or whatever is there actually stays there. And now I have basically decimated this vehicle. If I hit escape and go back, it says no cabin, so that thing's clearly not going to be able to do any battle. What I can do from there then, though, if I get really messed up, I can click here, go back to my saved stuff, and I'll just bring my blueprint back up, assemble. Yep, and I'll do that. And now it's back up, so I have that vehicle. You do have to be careful, because if you do a bunch of modifications, so you go into build, you do a bunch of modifications, and then you come out and you never save that vehicle, if you come out of the game or change it or do something else, sometimes you can't get back to the vehicle you thought you had. Probably not explaining that very well, but if you get a build you like, you need to definitely come out and save it. So that's actually pretty cool. And so if I want to add something, you'll see that, let's just take a couple off just for giggles and take these two frames off. You see that on the bottom right I've got 27 of 30 pieces, which I can't point to, unfortunately, based on where I am, but you can see that 1852 power score go down from there. Total parts 27 of 30. If I hit tab, then it brings up my parts, and these are all the parts I have. So we'll just find something silly like a car jack, and I can put a car jack, and I'll just attach that right there to the side of the vehicle. A car jack, I actually have one. You can see one hiding underneath here. This thing allows you to turn your car over if you turtle it. You hit R and it flips it over. If you don't have one of those, you're not flipping over. So let's get out of this again. I'll go ahead and load up my blueprint guy here. We'll assemble it, and I'm back where I was. So that's the build piece. You grab the piece. One other thing to show you, though, actually, which I forgot to do, is Q. You see how it's rotating? And E moves the thing around. And those little yellow squares are connection points. So that's where I can connect it. If it's red, I can't connect it. and then you can spin it around to change its orientation. Some of that depends on where you're coming at the vehicle from, on how it will turn around. You see how it spins like this? If I come over here, see how it's kind of flat now, or it's pointing at me, it's not flat. Flip that thing around, and you can go around the vehicle with S goes up, W kind of goes forward, S and A going left and right. You can just move around like that. Alright, so we'll get out of that, and I will show you. We'll make sure I still have the same vehicle that I started with here. So we'll go into a battle. So you click battle. Right now, PvP is missions. Raids is PvE. So that's the co-op mode. Brawls I haven't done. Players fight each other. Oh, this is just everybody. Outstanding. So this is just a free-for-all. Pretty cool. And then you got some clan stuff you can do. So let's just do a mission. And we'll go get the shotgun. Actually, we'll do a get the machine gun. These are the rewards you can get down here. You get some scrap and these rewards. And this is obviously the easiest one. Here I need to be at level 6, so I can't go to get the cannon. And get the cabin. Get it. There's the cabin. Yeah, there you go. This cabin has a 250 power score. It looks like it's an upgrade over the one I've got, even the one I've got right now. But we're just going to do this basic one. You click battle. You wait. Get the load screen. And here we come. So this looks sort of similar to World of Tanks. You see the map, the radar's in the bottom right, your weapons are on the bottom middle. There's my vehicle, kind of drives around. Fortunately I have 2 steering front wheels. Now what's interesting about this, he just blasted a big cannon. You see how everyone's vehicle's kind of goofy looking. There's the bad guys, the red down there. The weapons appear to go basically where you point them. The other thing you got to watch out for, see this guy way out ahead, he's about to get waxed because he's getting attacked by everyone and losing all his hit points. So hopefully he can drive. See, he's just dying. Now I'm probably next because now we got friends coming at me, so they're helping. And I'm just backing up. There's not a lot of the very strategic kind of stuff that happens in World of Tanks. You see, I just lost a wheel. I'm losing weapons. I'm just getting pummeled here. I'm almost dead. This guy's just owning me. It's really hard to tell what their damage level is, too. I'm not really sure. I think it's just basically their physical look on them. You can see that thing. He's got all kinds of weapons on that. And we got a guy that appears to be AFK. Oh, actually, he's trying to cap out. So that was good to see. You can actually cap out. If you look at the top right and left, we are capturing the enemy base. On the left side is your base. It'll be red. Right around that thing. So there are caps on this as well. I don't know what they call it. I'm assuming cap since it says capturing the enemy base. And this guy's attempting to do that. And he's getting hit, but it appears that he's still capturing it even as they hit him. So you've got to get in there and kill them, it appears. So he's doing his best. He's trying to win this battle. He's got 514. Uh-oh, pieces are flying off. That's not good. He's trying to live. You can do it. Oh no, that's not good. He's done. He's just all he was his cabin, and we end up losing. And it will actually take you right back into battle if you just sit there. That's not a bad little feature. So I will tell it to return to the garage. You saw that it showed me what I got. You do get something for losing experience, not very much, that kind of thing. So you come back. So what are my thoughts on it? That's kind of a quick down and dirty of what I've found in the garage and the various buttons and what they do, at least the very basics of what they do. There are there are many nuances in there that I am not aware of, but it will give you a good overview. As far as the combat goes, I'm not sold. It's kind of fun, and I love the idea. Let's go back to what I love. We'll start with what I love. I love the idea of collecting all the different parts and building your own vehicle and kind of trying to figure out how to make it look cool and be serviceable and what's the best way to build it and how can you make this cool combat car that you can run around in. But then when you get into the battle, it's 10v10, and they tend to be just complete chaos. There's not a lot of positioning like in World of Tanks, although there are places where you can kind of snipe and hide and do that stuff. At least at the low levels where I am right now with machine guns, shotguns, and some of the smaller cannons, it seems like the team that simply rushes forward and combines fires, or maybe not necessarily rushes forward but stays completely together and combines fire, nearly always wins. You're not going to be able to run around and be the big D dog out there with your awesome vehicle, at least not at the levels that I played at, and kind of single-handedly carry the game. If you get caught out alone by 2 or 3 vehicles, you're probably done unless you will overpower them. There is a power rating which I didn't get into, and that does play into who comes into your games and your matches and stuff like that. But it's kind of hectic, really. Everything kind of moves really fast. The vehicles are not too easy to control. For my money, I think they probably move a little too fast to make it interesting. It's kind of very spastic, and everyone's ramming into each other and going crazy. So I think probably the biggest weakness of this game right now is, while the combat system is kind of cool and intriguing, I don't think it has any legs. That's my problem with it. It's just going to be kind of a big chaotic mess in most of the matches. The PvE, however, is actually kind of cool. On the PvE, let's jump into one of those. And we'll just do this one, called a raid. And you can get different things in a raid. You can see that I'm going to get some copper and some coupons. There is a bit of a wait on most of these right now. I don't think there's a whole lot of people playing it. And I'm sure I haven't mentioned it, but it is in beta right now. So this is not the final game, and they are continuing to tweak it and look at it. And hopefully we can get into a siege battle here real quick. There we go. Alright, so there's 4 of us, 5 of us. And we need to all stick together. I think a little bit that the combat is a little more intriguing when you have a team like this and sticking together. And it's a bit of a bummer that it's PvE that makes it cool. And off we go here. You can see a chat on the bottom left. I don't know where that is. One thing you do have to watch out for, you see these kind of indications of where the enemy stuff is, but it's sometimes hard to tell if they're behind something or if you can even see them. So that's a little bit difficult at times. Oh. These little zippy vehicles are kind of standard bad guy vehicles at this level. If you look in the bottom, you can see my stuff overheating. I don't think you can damage each other. That does not appear to be possible. So me and this guy sort of got off alone. And unfortunately, that's not really a great idea. I'm going to come over here. Try to help this dude pull down. There we go. And he's got a pretty good vehicle as compared to mine. The aiming is a little odd sometimes. There doesn't appear to be an auto lock of any kind, auto aim. So really, that was okay. There's another version where you're guarding a big vehicle that's moving slowly, and you got to keep everything off of it. So I would say it's a little better. You can see I got a couple things. I got some copper, got some coupons. I got some more experience for Master Jack or 2 Master Jack or something. I don't know. But there's the little portrait. And I got a victory, and it tells me what I got. All right, so there it is. Crossout is the game. It's an odd name, really. It is in beta. It has some interesting features to it. I think the building and crafting and the grind, as far as that goes, is probably one of its strong suits. The combat is, I'm not sold on it. I may have to play it a little longer and see if there's something I'm missing, but it's not really compelling, not even nearly as compelling as the World of Tanks is. But I think it's got a good start, and you can see it War Thunder kind of stole a bit of stuff from, not stole, but used a lot of the same kind of setup as World of Tanks as far as garages and things like that. You can see this is very similar to that. So you may actually like this game. Take a look at it if you do. It's free to play, and as I showed you, like any game like this, you can spend as much money as you want or as little as you'd like. Alright guys, I hope you like what you saw. If you stuck with me this long, I do appreciate you supporting the channel. And we will see you, and maybe I'll see you out there at Crossout sometime.